She said, it was going so good, bro. What happened?
Oh, no, bro.
It was going so good.
No, bro.
Like, what you kept saying is one word, you kept saying it.
Like, I think, like, I suppose, like, how they feel like it's cool because it's in music, or whatever venue that they have. Still know the ramifications of music.
Peace, what's going on? I'm J-Rod D.
And I'm G,
And you listen to the Poor Life Podcast.
hosted by none other than
Nuance. Check this out, right? We're going to implement something new. So, after each episode that comes out, we're going to do a Q&A episode. And what we would like from you, our watchers, viewers, subscribers, and fans and supporters, friends, family, all that good stuff, I want you guys to hit us up on our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, etc., with any question you would like to ask about poetry, the art form, the industry, anything such as that.
Yeah, we like to enhance that idea of asking the people who are our viewers and our listeners, you know, because you guys may have questions that we just don't think of, so it's always good to have that avenue for y'all to communicate with us. So hope y'all dig it. In other news, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you.
Happy D New Day.
Happy Charter Day to Brother D New, Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, it was a beautiful day today too, man.
Beautiful day. It wasn't raining like it was yesterday.
Church was good.
I thought it was going to be a little more rainy than like the weather predicted, I guess you can say.
I don't know, man.
But it's going
Sun
good.
was
So
shining. It was definitely hot.
Memorial Day weekend, we still working.
Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day, no work tomorrow. That's pretty good. But we still here doing our thing, right?
Gotta work tomorrow.
It's a real life day today. Got my little son in here. He's over here asleep. He's fresh from church. Got suspenders on.
Yeah.
He's
came through dripping.
So if you hear any noise, anybody gets excited and a little screaming, that's him. Just know that's him.
He's gonna chime in from time to time.
Yeah, time to time. But that's what it's all about, man. We're family. We try to keep it professional, try to keep it real.
Ad-libs.
Yeah, a little bit of ad-libs, right? So today, right? So far this week, maybe it was last week, we're going to do a little current event real quick. Kendrick Lamar, right?
Yeah.
So Kendrick Lamar is doing this thing. The championship tour is going along well along the country. They come to, I want to say, is it Merriweather? I think it's Merriweather, or is it Jiffy Lube? They come here actually Friday.
This Friday?
Yeah, SZA, the whole TD crew, Absol, J-Rock, all them, right? So Kendrick doing the song, and Kendrick normally when he does this song right here, he has a fan come on stage, and he asks the fan, do you know the words? They say, yeah, I know all the words, Okay, ask him again, you know the words? I know all the words. Okay. The beat comes on, man down, where you from? And you know, it's a few words in there that a person of
lighter pigment,
non-melanated complexion,
yeah,
shouldn't say, right? So she gets on stage, and of course she's in the moment. She's enjoying the song, and she goes off, and she's saying word after word after time after time. And Kendrick gets to the point where he stops, tells the band to stop, everybody stop, and he's like, "Wait a minute." And she's like, "What's going on? It was going so good, bro. It was going so well. We was having fun. We was vibing." And he said, "But there's one word you couldn't say, but you kept on saying it." And she said, "Well, I can't say that word." He like, you know you can't say that word, but it's in the song, it's in the lyrics, why can't I say it? And he asked the fans if she should stay on the stage. And at that point, I didn't even see the rest of the clip, because it was like on Charlamagne Donkey today. So that's the most I saw. But the question I want to ask, man, like, as far as that, we got lyrics, and of course, you know, if you write a certain thing, people want to say it.
Yep. Especially in music.
Yeah. Do you curtail your lyrics so that people who shouldn't say certain words don't say certain words, or is more so like you just saying what you're going to say, and whoever says it is going to say it?
I think I just write what I want.
Yeah.
And then because just because they don't say it in front of us don't mean that they don't say it.
That's true.
You know? So that definitely happens. And the fact that, you know, she was bold enough to get on stage and say it in front of the millions and millions of people.
I'm thinking about that Freaky Friday joint.
Yeah.
The Freaky
Friday, like that. And that was a little contradiction with with Dickie and Chris Brown and all that jazz, but it's the same rule applies. Like, you know, come on now. And then in 2018, it gets to a point where today's time, they don't even care no more, because they getting away with anything. They literally getting away with murder. So it's like, what's a word to murder? You feel me? it's synonymous. Oh, I could do this, and you know what I'm saying, walk and get home just fine. I'm gonna get on stage and say word for word, man down, where you from, all that. But hey,
do you think it's safe to say, or is it fair to justify that as like, well, you guys say it to each other, so
well, you know what? I was watching, and I don't know if the viewers or you like, we watched what's the Dear White People? Netflix.
The show or the movie?
The show.
Okay, the show,
The show, because I feel like the show ties in deeper into a lot of what's going on.
Okay.
So when the whole scenery of the Caucasians moving into the black dorm and integrating everything like that, it's the same. I feel it's all the same because they're gonna ask questions. Well, why is the I remember one episode she was asking about the menu in the cafeteria because they had like fried chicken and grits or something like that. Like it was too much sodium or something in the chicken and this, that, and the third. Like you're trying to water down our culture, but you want to, you know, be a part of our culture, but not a part of us. Like you don't want us to be there when you're quote unquote sampling our culture.
Culture appropriating, culture vultures, as you can say, similar to the blackface parties and all that stuff.
So her getting on that stage and using that word is not a shock to me.
Yeah, like I didn't think she'd get on stage and say it.
What?
Sheesh. What? You get on stage beside the man and you go off.
That's just like in the documentary Rapture.
Okay.
When Logic brought the little boy on.
Yeah. And
he asked his mom.
Okay.
He was like, "Mom, can I use the bad words?" Now she would have said, "Kendrick, can I say?" That would have been different because then she's getting like, you know,
she's getting it approved.
She's giving it approved. Of course, she wasn't gonna get it, but it's just like at least you had the common courtesy to say, "I know all the words, but I know this word is in there, so is it cool that I use it?" Of course, it's not. But you know, you being cognitive and just, you know, mentally aware, like, oh, I might get jumped after this performance because there's somebody in the crowd that's not nice as Kendrick.
You don't got the complexion for the protection when it comes to that.
She needed to have like security walked out with her. I'm sorry, like I don't know where that concert was.
Hey, I forgot what it was too.
And I think Kendrick set her up a little bit.
They'll be here Friday.
K-Dot set her up a little bit. She's like, "You sure you know the words?"
If he called one of y'all on stage, you know.
If you are not dipped in a certain shade of melanin,
just as a precaution,
don't get on stage and be N-word this, N-word that.
Because people already know that, okay, this...
Especially in this area, because there are some woke people and some fake woke people who probably will address you in not so friendly matters. But moving...
Yeah, let's move forward, man.
On.
Today's episode, right? A theme centered around poetry is more powerful with legs. And so to break that down, it's kind of like, historically speaking, in the African American community, you think about poetry, it always has some kind of advocacy associated with it, right?
Word.
Like Amiri Baraka, the last poets, Gil Scott Heron, etc., etc. James Baldwin, you could say, Langston Hughes, the Harlem Renaissance, Compton Cullen, you know, we can go on and on, right?
Yeah.
How is that advocacy relevant today? Like, what examples have you seen? I know, for example, I've seen Fighting Cancer for Poetry. That's local, you know.
Yeah.
That's going on there. They're using poetry and fundraising and using that for like cancer research and things towards finding the cure, things with helping families and etc. We also have like, he's associated with that. He made a shirt. He talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
He had the haiku on the shirt. I forgot it word for word, but
it's something like, to paraphrase, it's like they say cancer is all bad. It's something like sometimes good. My family's close.
Yeah, my family's close now. Yeah.
Like that last bar was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like cancer is not bad. Of course it's bad, but the fact that he was able to see his family be, you know, rejoined and you know just reunion like that under those circumstances is just, you know, hard to deal with. But the fact that it strengthened your family more to realize that family is important. That haiku was dope. And
they bringing that awareness through the avenue of poetry. You know, they using the words, using the art form to bring that to the people, and people who relate to that, they tend to grab hold onto it because it's in a bite-sized package. Like, it's on the shirt, but it's also a haiku, and it's easy to memorize for those who have memorized it, I'm sure, and they can take it with them and travel. And that platform, that advocacy is with them everywhere they go, because now it's committed to memory. Also, we think about like Messiah. He's in New York fighting for prison reform. challenging the 13th Amendment. You know, 13th is a big deal. Like, that's a big deal. 13th Amendment of justifying slavery under the fact that you committed a crime or you're a felon, so now you can be legally enslaved in the prison system, which is all privatized now for the most part. And so they get the funding on the table, and they get their room set up, and they got to read a certain amount of, you know, it's crazy. And then Lucky, you see what she's doing.
Lucky's in the schools, like
Lucky's in schools,
molding the minds of these brilliant children who, like, I think, in my opinion, children are the best poets.
Why is that?
Personally, because they're still, like, their mind is still forming, because, you know, you get a certain age as a child where you have a lot of questions. Okay. And your imagination can run wild with so many things. So the fact that, like, even when Christoph was telling us about some of the poems that these kids was writing, right? There's grown people who wish that they had, like, metaphor tie-ins that some of these kids have, and it's just like, wow. I personally think that children are the best poets, because it's just, they're the students, so they're learning how to use their voice, and they're very attentive because this is something that they actually like. And I see, like, we see a lot of people who have, like, that fake it type of persona when they get on stage, and they voice is a little different, and they try to use these big profound words that they probably have no idea what it means, but they looked it up in the dictionary and it's like, oh, but that rhymes with this. Yeah. Nah, children don't be like that. They write pure. They just write straight up. Like, even, like, sometimes it don't even rhyme, but, and that's like, they use that notebook how it's supposed to be. It's like, it's your poetry diary.
I think it's pure coming from the mouth of a child. What the Bible say, out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, dogs, perfecting praise.
Matter of fact, I was on Instagram, and one of our fellow poets, his Instagram name is Tesla something, but Black is, like, you know, that's him.
Where's
he? He from Baltimore.
Okay, Baltimore. Shout out to Baltimore.
Shout out to Baltimore poets, the whole movement, man. Everybody.
Poet named Nate.
Everybody, Sir Alex, everybody. You know, but he was at a school similar to what Lucky's doing. Okay. And he had, like, rappers and, you know, other young poets in there, and they was going. And the first thing that came to my mind was that scripture. Okay. And I'm like, yo, it just ties in, and I commented on that. Yeah. And he was just like, that, everything, you know, iron sharpens iron, because he thought of the same thing. Yeah. And the fact that he chose to have, and I know that's the next thing, but that is part of his platform to really do that and help kids mold what they're trying to say, because a lot of times people just don't know how to say what they're trying to get, that, you know, what they're trying to express, you know.
What makes poetry the appropriate, like art form for that then? Because it seemed like it's like poetry and spoken word. It seems like that's more appropriate than other areas to, like, kind of vent and express these issues and show this kind of advocacy towards certain things. Like, what makes poetry that appropriate?
Because I feel like it ties in that education field of wanting to teach, and also to have people learn about themselves as well. Like, I think poetry is a great tool when it comes to that, because it's hard to do that, you know, in other avenues of, you know, like sports, or, because everybody doesn't like sports, everybody doesn't, you know, sing, everybody doesn't dance, but everybody can read, you know, hopefully, you know, you know, or they can learn that, you know, how to read and how to write and speech, you know, and all that jazz, and just a form of expression that allows you to use your words, because a lot of people do not know how to use their words. Like, when you're having a conversation, and a lot of people don't know how to say sorry. Right. You know, you learn how to say sorry. There's different ways of saying sorry. There's different ways of saying, you know, even, like, more, like, sensual things like I love you. It's hard for, especially, like, brothers to tell each other, oh, man, I love you. Hey, man, I love you, man.
Right. I love you too, man. Yeah.
You feel me? But a lot of people don't have that spiritual maturity. Okay. And poetry, I think, allows people to learn and to grow and to mold themselves into who they want to be. They acknowledge their flaws and they write about it. Yeah. You know, and then once they can gain that confidence of, oh, this is who I am, and I'm not afraid anymore to express how I feel, then that bridges the gap and that makes it a community back to, you know, poetry being so strong in the African American community, because you can reach somebody and they'll come up to you and say, hey man, me too.
Right.
Or how do you feel about this? Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone through this? It creates that conversation. It creates that safe place to say, well, maybe I can express this to him or to her because they just got done expressing that situation. Mm-hmm. That gives me the confidence to want to write and express mine. You know?
I think it's powerful to hear a child use their voice to express that, you know, to construct something in that area.
Definitely.
Whether it's, like I said, we can. I guess people can argue whether it's, you know, professional or whatever, but it's still a voice. And the fact that they're first and foremost confident enough to voice how they feel about certain things, all right? That takes a lot of courage for a child, maybe like between 5 and 8 years old, to go on stage in front of all these people they don't know. And you've seen in church when kids go to the front, they normally shaking or they looking around for their mom or something. But
man.
They can go up there and say that poem and say how they feel about a certain thing. And then when they get off the stage and see everybody clapping and cheering for them.
Easter speeches?
The Easter speech, yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Something along those lines, you go onto the podium and now you got to say something, or they call you to go pray, you know?
Lord.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to have Greg come to pray, Gregory to come pray. And you go over there looking all shy.
Yeah, man, everybody back home either know me as JR Swift, so it's just
easy. We're gonna have JR come to the stage, right?
And that's another thing. So to like branch off of that,
okay.
Do you think prayer and poetry are synonymous?
Prayer and poetry? Okay, help me out with that.
When you pray, like, okay, when we first learned how to pray, some people learned to, now lay me down to sleep, I pray to the Lord my soul to keep, that prayer. And then they, you learn the Lord's Prayer and all that. But then when you learn how to pray and your natural state of mind and addressing the situation, and you go from, like, we grew up in the old traditional Baptist church, oh, Father God.
Right.
But you matriculate and you mature into asking and talking and speaking to God honestly. How is that something that, can tie into poetry? Because poetry, you got to tell the truth. You have to address certain things that not only makes the, the audience go, but also makes you, comfortable enough to say that I don't mind writing this because there's some truth in this, and not only does this need to be said, but it needs to be heard.
I think that's something you said that was key. You said the fact that you went from a certain formula to being more open and honest.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel what you're saying on that. So I'll take that and run with it for a second. To be open and honest in your poetry is synonymous with prayer, because you get to a point where you're able to just be open and honest in your prayers, right? Open and honest in what you would say and how you express yourself.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the stage, when it comes to the pad or whatever you want to choose to express yourself through poetry, spoken word, etc., you're more open, you're more honest, because you've been through, at least you've been through the stage of the formulaic part of it. You went through your trials and your experiments and whatnot, and now you're to the point where you have no more restraints, I guess you can say.
Word.
So think about the first time you spit.
Yeah.
And think about, like, you were so probably focused on memorizing the joint, memory, so I make sure I get every word, every time, every kick, whatever. To the point now where you could break off and then go off into a completely different poem.
Yeah.
That may be like half freestyle, half whatever, but it still hits.
I am not a freestyler. I learned that the other day.
Well, shoot. Sometimes it gets real like that. Sometimes it gets real like that.
For all those listening and watching, do not ask G to freestyle, because I'm probably gonna start singing and humming some stuff. I'm the vocalist of this duo.
So exactly. So take it to the singing. Take it to singing, right? You got to a point where now you're able to be open and honest with your voice, and when it goes on, you can go on runs, you can go into little tunes, little harmonies, little melodies, and everything like that, just easily, because you're open and honest with yourself. And now you found your voice. Maybe that's key. To find your platform is to find your voice. Would you agree with that?
Hashtag to find your platform is to find your voice. That's dope.
That sound good?
That was good.
To find your platform.
That was a bar.
That's a bar.
Can we get like a ding for when like certain bars are said? Ding.
That'd be tight.
That would be dope. But nah, that is true. I feel that. And then the reason I asked that is because a lot of the platforms of poetry throughout the African American community, a lot of these places and a lot of these forums took place in church.
Okay.
You know, that was like their community center. That was a safe haven where people could come and talk about it. And then like you had churches, you had, you know, gymnasiums, you had the library,
street corners.
You had the street corners, and
soapbox,
all of that. So for the ancestry of poetry in the African American community, excuse me, is deep, because there are people, you know, that we may not be so well versed on in like different areas. And I know I have a lot back home in Cleveland and like all through Northeast Ohio who were just like so dope. Like my gym school teacher in like 3rd grade. Well, I knew he was a poet because he walked like a poet. He dressed as like, there's no specific attire for a poet, but he had like all of this. Like he wore dashikis, he walked with a staff, he always spoke like African proverbs and all that stuff.
He had something to say.
He always had something to say, and he would always have us recite something different each day. And it was like an affirmation for us to just, you know, yes, we're children, you know, but we are growing to be the next whatever. I am this, I am that, just to, you know, sow in some strength. You know, he sowed a seed in us that today, like, I don't even know if he's alive or not, you know. I would love to just reach out to him and tell him thank you, because that was like learning my first words of affirmation, and how that can be so impactful in poetry. A lot of it, the majority is affirmation. You know, yes, you're in this situation. Yes, this is that. Or to tie it into the subject, yes, that our community is doing this and just make it relevant. Our community is like, it's open fire on us. Every day is a risk for something. In one way, shape, or form, whether it be police brutality, whether it be, you know, feeling expendable at your job, whether it be trying to fit in school, or, you know, attacking the issues of self-depression and just negative self-talk or things, and just a lot of questions that you have. But you have to affirm that, no, I am this. Right. I will get this. I am at this level, yes, but I will be here soon. All I have to do is keep my focus and work. And poetry does that. People come to these shows and they you know, they hear these things. And our you know, our old heads, if you will, of poetry, that's how we got to learn to be so confident when we perform.
You ever heard of Poets in Autumn? Poets in Autumn tour?
Nah.
So the Poets in Autumn tour is a few poets.
That?
Like Jackie Hill Perry, her husband Preston Perry, a guy named Ezekiel, another lady named Genetics.
So like P4CM?
Yeah, it's like that was like 4 of them from that movement who go on tour every autumn to like different places. They go into the UK.
You know what? I did see that. Yeah. I heard it on the radio too.
Okay.
So yeah, but they're dope.
I think about that as far as conveying a message and taking your poetry and making it powerful. Like we said before, poetry is more powerful with legs. So now they're taking the poetry out to the people and not only traveling to local venues, but more so venues outside the local context, right? And so they're taking a message with them as well, because the Poets in Autumn, as well as PC4M, that's about advocating the gospel of Christ and getting that message out to different people in different communities. So if we think about that, we think about the platform. That's the platform right there. Boom, Poets in Autumn, the message is the gospel, and we're going to bring that in a creative way. Right. Our platform may be different. Your platform may be different. My platform individually and collectively may have a platform may be different from theirs. If we could go on and talk about nuance platform for a second, and then go into individually, and then, you know, bring it back to the topic. You know what I'm saying? Let's start with that. So, I guess say nuance. We talk about nuance being the subtle differences in the shades of expression. I bring one perspective, G brings another perspective, but more times than not, they're all talking about the same thing and bringing a similar message on a similar vein. 2
sides of the same coin.
Exactly, right? And so a lot of our poems are centered on like what, let me know if I'm wrong, like interpersonal relationships, right? Interpersonal. It's focused on, a lot of it is focused on like healing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like themes of forgiveness, themes of what?
Addressing certain issues that you may face. Okay. I know, like, we wrote prior to OG Miles over here, who's half asleep and not asleep.
He ready to turn up.
Right. We wrote a poem called Black Boy.
Okay.
you know, and just what would that letter be like to, you know, write a letter to your son, you know, and then our from Black Boy to Mirror Man, addressing the issues of who we are as men and how we need to grow, and what was the other one that it was so well received in the forms of, you know, the community based. Was that still Mirror Man? Nah.
Mirror Man was good. Mirror Man, Black Boy, Broken.
Broken is definitely well received.
Brokenness is hopefulness if you consider the odds.
Our job, be the glue, see it through. Armies and girls need you. Raise our sons to be kings too. Raise our sons to be kings too. Raise our sons to be kings too. And we use quotes to the point that, you know, our poetry becomes quotable. I find, do you find yourself like quoting certain bars that we've like, you know what I'm saying? Just in random conversation. So our platform addresses a lot of things that go from real world situations as a black man, as a young black man, as a young professional, as something as people being a part of families and organizations, and just the hustle and bustle of the curiosity moments that we have coming from wherever we're at work, you know, going to hoop or whatever. And we really just, the point of nuance is just to really give you cut and dry, but also rinse out some of that confusion that may, you know, with wordplay and metaphors and painting this broad picture, but also being able to help navigate you through that picture. So we're drawing it for you right in front of your eyes. And we're drawing it for not just your eyes, but for your ears and your soul too. Go so. You know, and that allows us to be able to, you know, work the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, so people can know it. And they're just sitting there like, I love it. I get it. I understand. And it's so dope. I'm with it.
And again, we draw from our strengths too. We draw from, you have a vocal background, so you incorporate the vocals into it.
He has a hip hop background.
His
cadence is, you know,
it's a little razzle dazzle, I guess you can say.
Ridiculous.
Slow this, slow that.
Crazy. So, even your teaching background.
Yeah, you know? that's heavy. That's a lot of my poems spark from classroom experiences, also what I'm learning in school right now as a student, you know, trying to make sure I'm studying first.
And then just the intelligence of what we read, and, you know, being able to tie in different things that we read, different mantras, different avenues of what we read, because we're broad readers. So
let me ask you a question real quick, just to get us right there. You use, when it comes to writing poetry, right? Do you use books? Do you use music? Do you use anything to get you in the mood, or is it more so like when you actually formulate your words, like how do you get these words? Where do they come from?
A lot of them come from music. For me. A lot of them come from just me reading through things, words, literally reading the dictionary, reading like I read a book every day called The Daily Stoic. You know, Stoicism is pretty dope to me. And my daily devotional. And then the question that it pins on that day may spark a poem for me, or just thinking of a cadence in my head of something that I think will be dope that we do, and it would just go into a whole poem. And then like just how we started just sending each other like voice memos, and it's like, yo, could you write to this? How you know what I'm saying? And it just happens that way. I almost sent you one this morning, but it wasn't ready yet, so I'm like, nah,
I feel that. Shoot, cook it up.
But now, what about you? Like, what do you use? What helps you get in the mode of really sitting down, putting pen to paper?
I listen to a lot of lectures. I listen to like YouTube.
That too.
I listen to right now I'm listening to some stuff by Michael Eric Dyson. I'm listening to what he got to say. It's dealing with race issues, because that's always relevant. Very relevant nowadays. Table. Also music, of course, and the books that I read. Those three things I would say constitute where my words may come from, my ideas may spark from. If it's not raw experience, which some of the purest poems come from that, but sometimes it comes from those three.
Right. And then like another side to it, sorry to like
Go ahead.
do that, but inquisition. Just wondering why things are. Like, how did people get to that certain level, or an emotion that I may have been feeling from something that either made me feel really good or it made me feel really not so good, you know? And then I ask those questions, and it ends up going into being like different sonnets of how that question made me feel, or how that situation made me feel. So everything to me is a groove. So that groove creates a piece.
So next question then is this, right? We know nuance. We come together and we bring like a message of healing, so to say, a message of, you know, we just went over the various things we talk about. Your personal platform, I know we both tend to touch on themes more so than others. First, what makes those themes important to you to touch those?
Oh my bad, I got caught up with Miles.
He's up.
But the themes?
Yeah.
It's not any specific things. Like my individual platform is themed through just life. I write a lot about what I see or what I may interpret, or a lot of times what I overthink. Because a lot of times I'm an overthinker. And it's like, okay, instead of just keeping these thoughts stored in my mind, write them out. And it goes from bullet points to like different little sonnets and stanzas to a whole poem, and it gets chopped up into different poems. The next thing you know, I got a whole notebook of thoughts that just submerged into poems.
So tell us some of those thoughts then, some of those like.
Man, one thought would be just having the ability to mature as a person.
Okay.
Being able to be responsible enough to say that, hey, in order for me to get to that next level in life, I have to first master this level. And in mastering this level, I understand that I couldn't do the same things that I did in the level prior to this level.
Right.
I have to elevate. Right? That's the name of the game when it comes to my perspective of life. So that those pieces start to reveal that. And even like just, you know, you'll see me post something on Instagram, and it just be what I was thinking in that specific moment. It has nothing to do a lot of times with a different person or a different situation. It just clicked in my mind. Like, oh, yeah, let me just write this out, because that's like that's breathing. That's that ventful moment, you know, away from the world. You know, so what, with your platform, Mr. J. Righty, so what all ties into you? What are those themes, or, you know, what is the picture that you're painting? What do you use to paint that picture?
So the thing I find myself writing about the most would be knowledge of self. Knowledge of self being, you know, bringing that awareness of trying to bring pieces that make people think about who they are and try to analyze their own situation and try to bring about some kind of refinement or improvement to themselves. So knowledge of self is key when I write my stuff. Also, I think about matters that have to do with like community and trying to bridge gaps that they may keep people separate, whether it be like anger towards somebody, whether it may be like a disagreement or misunderstanding, whether it may be a heartbreak or misfortune, something like that. Trying to find ways to bridge gaps through the avenue of using knowledge of self and the introspection piece, so that you can like try to navigate those issues and problems that you may face in your everyday life. So that's what I tend to write the most about, and it may come in different shapes and forms in different ways, but more so when you get right back down to it, it'll all make you point back to you, you know.
Word.
So
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, and I could like I already knew that, of course, but it's just like to hear it explained.
Yeah.
Helps me want to be a better poet. Helps me want to, you know, kind of attempt to drive down that street at least once, just to, because I think in order to grow as a writer and as a poet, you have to diversify. You know, you have to be able to, you know, have your art be authentic, be organic, but also be, you know, transparent through so many different avenues, because there are different and diverse people listening. You know, from the elderly to the child to, you know, white, the black, and everybody in between.
You know, sometimes I think about, for example, Poets in Autumn. I use that as an example to paint this picture right here. Like, they have a clear universal message that they take with them everywhere they go.
Okay.
Right? And with that message being universal, it may be able to hit on certain specific issues that somebody may be dealing with, or certain specific ideas that a person may be dealing with when they come into the venue and see these folks perform. I think with that, when we go on stage, like, we may have a general topic that may be like, it may be general in the sense that, okay, we're going to talk about this right here. Maybe a phrase we just write about and it becomes a poem. Right. And then with that, it may be specific to somebody who may be in that you know, may feel as though they're the character in that poem. You know what I mean? So I think about that when it comes to writing. I try to write from the lens of, I'm going to make it as easy enough for someone who is listening to pick up on something, but I'm still going to make it specific to the topic I want to stay on point on.
And entertaining to listen to,
of course, definitely.
Because of that stage presence. I think that, you know, as we grow and as we perform, so does our stage presence and the syncopation of what we do, because it's a lot of give and go. Oh,
do you think poetry will be anything without stage presence, or would it just be, because we think about the child who goes up on stage, they might not have the same stage presence as the seasoned vet, 30 years in the game, who has like Pulitzer Prize winning, best-selling author, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold, right?
Okay.
So it's not needed. It's encouraged. You know, it's entertaining because, you know, you want to sit there and have those eyebrow raising moments and, you know, the skin chilling moments of like the bars that they use and like how their mannerisms of their body language is implied in their whole performance. But I wouldn't expect somebody who is first coming out the gate to have that.
Right. So with the artist comes the expectation.
Yes.
So when we do see a child who comes on stage and they just blow the roof off,
right? We didn't expect that.
It exceeds the expectation, right?
Yeah.
And we see somebody who we expect to be more well equipped and prepared to present this poem in a better way, and they present it in a way that's like,
and then it's almost bad that we, you know, have that expectation, because what if they don't meet that certain expectation? We feel like we wasted our time and our money. Whereas though, like, if we just go in there just adoring and appreciating the art of poetry, no expectation needed, you know, because people are people. They go through stuff just like we do. They may not feel like being at that high level or feel like that performance or because of the venue. And there are some people who will be like, oh, well, this is a small venue, I'm not really gonna give 100%, you know. And then there are those who that we follow, like the J. Cole's and the Kendrick Lamars and all those, who don't care if it's 2 people or 2 million.
Right.
They're gonna do their thing. So that's why I say it's twofold, man, because if we attach an expectation to somebody because they have all these accolades versus the child or the person who's first starting out, and we stand and clap for the person who's starting out because, you know, this is letting them know that it's okay and you're going to get better, do the same thing for the person who is already at that level, because they may need to see that, or just to be devil's advocate, they may need to see a quiet room if they feel as though that they can go 50% on a performance, because
you're a little humbling. Think you too.
You need that humbling.
Think you're too thorough, huh?
So you need the humbling experience, and you need that affirming experience if you're unsure of your art or that confidence level. Yeah. So I'm cool with that. I would love to be on the stage with the Ezekiel Elliott's and all those guys.
Ezekiel Elliott, football player?
Yeah, like just to tie into, you know, different arts. I would love to be on stage with like the Commons. I would love to be on stage with the Barack and Michelle Obamas. You know, I would love to just have that avenue. And one person that I think is super dope at doing that, Common.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because one day you could see him like on a commercial for the NBA Finals. Next day you could see him at the White House just speaking and performing a song that has something to do with the history of America.
He's a household name now.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Him, and like, you heard it, like, August Green too, right?
August Green, yeah, they had an album.
And Robert Glasper and, oh man, I can't think of the other dude's name right now. It's gonna come to me by the end of the show, I promise you. But dog, the fact that he went from, I met this girl when I was, to now being so, like, a household name everywhere he goes.
Kareem something?
Kareem Biggums? Like,
nah, not Biggums.
Kareem
Biggums. Kareem Biggums. August Green. Kareem Riggins, I think.
Riggins, right? Was it Riggins?
Yeah, Kareem Riggins, yeah.
Riggins and Biggums sound the same, man.
Nah, Kareem Biggums and Spice Adams.
Dolph over there like...
So how you plan on taking your path for your platform beyond words? Let me see if I can get it better. What you say now, Chuck? How you plan on using your platform to reach beyond words, or impact beyond words? Because like Common, right? He uses impact. Now he has a global impact.
Yeah.
Because his platform is able to reach different families, different communities, and different individuals. How do you plan on taking your platform, like you just explained just now, to impact beyond words?
Using my platform to be a puzzle piece to a bigger puzzle.
Okay. So how would that look?
That would look like I said, attaching and sharing the stage with diverse people from diverse careers and diverse backgrounds, to being able to share my art with theirs, or my talent with theirs, and being able to gel, because we're all talented people. I think every human being has some type of talent that if you tap into it, I mean, you're rich, you know, spiritually, mentally, maybe even fiscally, you know. But I would say using my platform as being a puzzle piece, to using my music and my poetry to allow others to share their art, whether it be in technology, whether it be in animation or fitness, anything like that, to just, you know, if I could put words to a fitness catalog, or if I can create that energy or that passion through my art to speak to the CEOs and all the top dogs at Amazon and Apple and all those guys, to say, hey man, everything has to have a groove, has to be in sync, and create that platform to one day shake hands with, you know, the people that I admire, the Commons and the Andre 3000s and all those that I, you know, personally would love to meet, and I'm going to meet, because you got to speak things into existence. Our puzzle pieces are going to be, they're already proven to be very, very, very important and much needed. Even with us doing this podcast now, we're able to reach people. Like, we're on Instagram Live right now. You know, we're on Facebook Live right now. You know, we don't know who all is watching right now. Yeah. And it could be that one person that says, hey man, you gotta look at these brothers. You know, and then they reach out to us, or we reach out to them, say we would love to, you know, just speak at this event, or we would love to get your take on what can we do to be able to share our energy and what we have on stage and through our words with your company. Yeah. Dope. What about you?
I think Poet Life Podcast. I plan on using my platform to impact beyond the words I'm representing on the stage. Poet Life Podcast, because now we have,
I like that.
Now we have a venue now that we can speak and we can address things that we couldn't really put into a poem.
Word.
We can open up topics. We can get other poets involved that not just local, but like across the country. We can get them involved. We can link and brush elbows and network and things like that. And that's helping us to connect to the larger community. Also, like, you know, we plan on creating workshops where we travel to different places and we bring them different ideas and topics from our books that we have written and are still writing. And we can let them know that we have like some ideas that we can take with us now. So I think like it goes back to equipping ourselves with like stuff to take with us, man. Like, you know, merchandise take with us. You know, like, we have the shirts, that's perfect. You know, we have the Poet Life paraphernalia, poetlife.com. Check it out. We got all kind of stuff for you, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Run us dry. Get everything. Everything
must go.
Everything,
you know what I mean?
must go. Including the kitchen sink.
I think definitely having these avenues to where you can make that happen, and having those connections, because without connections, you're pretty much walking alone. And even if you choose to walk alone, you have to make connections to really have as much impact as you would like to have. Because I don't think anybody can just wake up and say, you know what, I'm gonna be the best basketball player ever with nobody helping me, and you're outside every day practicing by yourself, shooting around by yourself with no trainer, no guidance, nothing. And you don't play for no team.
It's
just
very,
like how you gonna get that?
It's very rare to see that, because there have been instances and very rare moments and rare people who may have had that starting out, but once they got starting out, yes. So, but once they got to a certain level of accomplishment and recognition, they were able to attach themselves to people who help elevate them even higher. So you need those. I do agree wholeheartedly. Like, you need those connections. Yeah. And part of those connections is communication.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. All right, cool. Let me ask you this. So if you were to give people two things they need, you said communication first. Okay. 2 things they need to make connections, to make effective connections.
Communication. Confidence. Communication and confidence, because you have to be confident enough, like, to put yourself out there and take that risk. That might be 2.5, but confidence is key. As cliche as it sounds, it's very important to have that, and to establish that self-confidence and that belief in self that says, hey, he's doing this, he got to this level, why can't I? Yeah. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate with doing. I want to learn his route. Like, I would love, I'll reach out to these people. Yeah. That's how I got in contact with, big bro, Prentice Powell. Yeah, you reached out to him.
Reached out to him. Yeah, definitely.
Not being scared to say, like, because we're all, like, they bleed and sweat and sleep. They got 2 feet, put their pants on, similar to me.
And I'm sure some people are looking for that, somebody to reach, to ask a question, because some people
want you to take that initiative. Yeah. And Christoph is saying it all the time. We got a lot of beautiful, talented people, but they just won't take the initiative to really.
They got the idea, but they let it sit.
Right.
You having stillborn thoughts, man.
Communicate.
So communication.
Connect. What's yours?
And confidence. To add on to that, I would say authenticity. Because you want to come with an authentic package to present to somebody.
Word.
You want to be able to bring something that's original. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't want to ask you for help, and I'm just sitting there talking about how I want to be the next so-and-so.
Word.
I mean, if I really want to have a real impact, because that person has their own impact, I think they have, worry about not trying to take somebody else's lane, staying in your own lane, having your own impact that can add on to the impact of others who are like-minded with you.
So is that another thing, or is that your breakdown of authenticity?
That is authenticity.
Okay.
And also, to add on to that, I would say humility, because to come to somebody, you want to be humble. Even you're confident in yourself. Yes, you're confident, you exude the confidence, but you also have an air of humility to you, to where you're not too big-headed to reach out and ask for help. So you're confident. You're confident to ask for help, but you're not, you're confident to go and make that step, but you're not arrogant in your approach. You're humble in your approach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's wise.
And the gold.
Like, you're not asking for gold and silver. You're asking for wisdom.
Yeah. Right? How do you make your gold and silver?
To make
so
I
can make my own.
Teach a man to fish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, all of that.
So check this out, right? Again, we're going to put out an episode, and then we're going to have an episode of Q&A. So we want you guys to reach out to us. If you have our numbers, you can text us, you can hit us up. Also, we have our social media outlets.
All that.
Hit us up on that with your various questions that you may want to ask a poet, or about poetry, the industry, the art form at large, etc. Right? So again, man, it's Poet Life Podcast. I'm J. Rod D.
And I'm G.
Thanks for checking us out. Peace.
Tune in next time. Subscribe if you haven't already.
Yes, sir.